camera, action. Yeah.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to Teacher Academy. This is another episode of The Voice of Students, but instead we have a teacher here. And our topic of today will be: Will Japanese schooling system work in GCSE education? What do you think? I personally think it will not work.
Well, hello first, let me introduce myself. My name is Stoyan and I'm kind of like coordinator here. I'm teaching the kids about coding design, helping with math and physics. So the question about the Japanese education, first of all, I want to discuss a little bit why the Japanese education have significant view from the all other education system that exist in the world, why we want to compete ourselves to reach to that level. So everything's began a long times ago, okay, when this Danish Navy or the British Navy used to travel the world in 18th centuries and conquer lands, and suddenly one of their big ships reached to Japan, and they were asking can we get inside and buy you some spices, whatever you're selling in Japan, and we will give you our Danish cheese or whatever. And there was a difficulty at that time because Japanese was a little bit conserved about that. Okay, they were not that much open, all right, even back in the days. But even today, they're like, I can say, to some extension. And one significant thing happened there with the emperor. When the emperor goes to the harbor and he see a big, huge ship like they don't even have temple that much big, you know, like on 7 layers, like 20 meters, very huge wooden ship. They say, what a technology they have, these people. And when he go back, he comes to advise that the problem with Japanese was their education. A few people actually use this Chinese, its name's kanji, which have more than 1,000 alphabets, symbols that describe words or some small letters. And they make a reformation in the education. They make it 28 letters. Now the name is, I'm not very sure, but it's a new name of the alphabet. It contains 28 sounds, and they start to educate from villagers, farmers, like children to elders, everybody in the, I can say 19th centuries at the beginning, like the year was 1850s, was forced to get education. So in very short amount of time, you have from 16% to 40% education people, literacy overall in Japan. So from the year of 1850s to the year of 1940s, when the World War II was there, they get up to 60% literacy or education inside the Japan. And that's why from samurai, some small male combat battle, they show up with the very famous kamikaze airplanes. We all know the story about Harbor, so I'm not gonna go in that also with the World War II, but they proved the world that education can change dramatically, bring you technology. And of course, they didn't stop in the World War II in 1940s. They still continue to build it until today. And there is amazing things and amazing disciplines in education in Japan. So yeah, they're pretty much one of the best systems ever I have studied about.
Right, but I personally think it's like how Japanese people are disciplined because how parents treat each other in Japan and how parents treat each other, how parents treat the kids in England is completely different. It's England is more soft and Japan is more strict. Well, that's a stereotype. I'm not gonna go in there, but I personally think that it should depend on the student because back then it was forced, but now if that happens, a lot of people will make problems. So.
Well, yes, probably from children's perspective, as your age, you will think about how the parents are dealing with the kids, but uh, in the long term, the parents or I can say the elders in Japan doesn't force that much children or pushing them. It is not that much stressful as we think the education in Japan. The education in Japan is like a part of life for them. All right, it's something that they don't know any other option. Like there is no way to complain that I cannot learn this because I have difficulty, I have ADHD, I have anxieties,
Yeah,
whatever.
but
So
that's in America. They're always complaining like they're making up excuses like, "Oh, I have a headache. I can't do this." But in Japan, they just straight away do it. They're hardworking. But in America, it's completely opposite.
yeah, this is my point because the education system in Japan is starting from the bottom as a child. You will go up to the top in the college with all the progression that will beat all these difficulties, which other countries exploit this for. Let's say I have seen that in America, they will diagnose your child with some disease so they can extract a little bit more money because now your child belongs to special needs and things like that, and it's perfectly fine. After 20 years, we have seen generations in America which are diagnosed by ADHD, but they have successful in their business or as other workers. So in Japan, these things doesn't happen that much publicly. If it happen, they just trust the system. Um, I can just say one small thing that in Japan there is no housekeeping in the school. The children, uh, after they finish the school, they mop the classroom, they clean their chairs, they clean their windows. They're taking care of the hygiene at the highest level. So imagine the school have 100 kids, let's say 100, maybe 900, and all these 900 kids, it's making and maintaining the hygiene in the school, from the toilets to the kitchen to the garden, everywhere. So there is no employees as a housekeeper there. Imagine. So this kind of particular system is not only in education and academic progress, it's also in behavior and human, doing your chores or things like that. So that's why it's something that it's very hard to compare with American or British education systems and how students are treated there.
And also, I think that the education system in England and America is too soft. They're letting the children slide with a lot of stuff, and that.
I agree on that. I agree on that. I cannot say it's too much soft. I can say there is variety, okay? Because one of the most recognized, uh, the best university in the world for technology and science is MIT, right? It's not Japanese, all right? The best also university for academic, um, it's Cambridge or Oxford. It's not Japanese. So academically, I can say they create levels. So if you're a parent and you want your child to get easy in life and education, do not go through all these mathematical problems of sinus, cosinus, whatever, calculus getting difficult later on. They can just choose private schools with eliminating some of the subjects and make it education fun and easy. So, yeah, it's more soft if you see it that way, but also there is a difficult level. So, because the United States and Europe, thanks to the United Kingdom, it is one of the only producer of the scientists that changed the very shape of the world that we're using today.
And I think it's also about the bullying because in Japan there's rarely bully cases, but in America there are a lot of bully cases. That's why school shootings happen. In UK too, and in a lot of other countries, there's so much bullying, and I think that's another thing what unmotivates the people to go to school and study and make the school a place which they don't like.
Yeah, well, I agree on that. I feel a little bit reserved when I was talking about the service of education, but the real thing as a student of your age is something that experience the internal position as a student, that bullying is a cultural thing of probably maybe in Japan is active in universities, in schools, everywhere there is some kind of cases that the child is there and the bullying happened not because of the school, not because of the system, not because of the environment, not even because of the culture. It simply happened because of some problems that initiative starts from most of, like I can say 90% of the bullying problems start in home, right? When the parents get frustrated and this frustration is passed to the child and the child go with a lot of anger or frustration in the school, and that's it.
I
The
know.
anger is unrolled, and so we as educators, we don't have control of that, but we have understanding of these specific bullies, and we go directly to them. We don't punish people. If we discover something like that, we just simply try to work it out and diagnose the thing, where the situation come from, and why education is not interesting, why the bullying is interesting, and this is how I believe most of the high exalted universities in the world work with the bullying, which some of the educations, uh, some of the schools of universities of who belongs to the government, so they're overcrowded and 3 to 1 continue here. So yeah, a lot of country government schools have compulsory to get to the point of the child he has to go through high school. So like it or not, you have problem home or you don't have problem home, your child need to go to school, and sadly, bullying is something that we all need to be aware of, and we need to treat it in a way that it doesn't hurt those with ambition to do something with their life as a child.
I understand, but some schools they don't really care if, like my old school, I used to get bullied, but the teachers won't care unless I hurt the kid a lot.
That's that's very bad, and I feel sorry about that. I hope you're feeling great in Teach Bahrain here, that all these issues are fixed, and I can imagine back in your old school, probably you were more focused on the bullying situation rather than academic progression.
Yeah,
Am I right?
my academics was horrible.
So this is exactly what happened when parents are a little bit reserved and the children's or the students are afraid to discuss the bullying things or the very uncomfortable experience they have in their school. They don't talk to their parents and they're failing at academic level. So because nobody can can pass the things by somebody like disturbing you all along by the months, right?
Yeah.
So, as we're talking to the Japanese, I'm not very sure. Okay, I have never been in Japan. I have never been in Japan, and I don't know really how the situation is there, or is the bullying is active. I have seen some few movies there. Of course, they have this kind of grouping inside, which is natural by human being. We're social beings, so we want to group ourselves. But I believe culturally they are very aware of their community, and they they have solution about that. So I never even read in any news or report that Japanese had problem with
Yeah.
bullying things.
America does literally every time, every like single 5 seconds, there's a news article about bullying in America, and in the UK too, in many other countries, in France, in mostly the west side of the world. But I don't see these problems occurring in Asia or Africa. I don't think so, or Australia. Even I think Australia, there might be some bullying situation.
Yeah, yeah, I can say that. Even there is a lot of differences because let me compare. I'm from Macedonia, and it used to be like Yugoslavia before, and we have this communism math, right? So it was like something more difficult than the math that is taught by the British or American education. So particularly let's say that the Russian math, the Russian method of teaching math is more complicated and more in depth rather than American, which goes very easy. So yes, there was difficulties in the Asian systems, which I'm very sure the Chinese also follow that difficult level of math, and also Japanese and Singapore's also. They're doing a mixture of different different education systems. Like one of them, they adopted the Japanese for math, which is the best one. But this makes the school more challenged to be approached in academic and leave less space for the kids to socialize in a way to create even groups and the bullying to take action. If you get me, like people are more like into study, into like these things. I still don't agree this one because sometimes you need to give the kids freedom, but once you give the kids the freedom, you need to face the luxury of getting bullying inside and need to take control of it, because kids are kids,
And also there's influence of other people. Like if another person comes into the school and the other kids look up to that person, the other kids try to be like that person, but that person might be bad. He might do other like horrible stuff, and the other kids might adapt to him and become bullies and sort of create a group of people.
Yeah, well, I don't know how really to express myself in international way how I experienced the bullying when I was young, but certainly there was this kind of role models that showing how to do and how to do the bullying, and obviously there was a group to him, like people who follow him up, and uh, the only way I saw in back in my days in 2000s and 1990s, it was very uh, I can say studying will make you busy, and then you can choose. If you find yourself socially incapable and always coming up with problem, you can choose to be the geek guy. Okay, we have now computer. We have. I was the millennial one, the first of generation that starts this virtual door to open this virtual world, and you can be anybody you like there. So social media, that's why they call social media, it's still active, it still satisfy our needs as a human being to contact with somebody. So yeah, that cheers up for everybody who have problem, and try your best to tell us about, and we want to share with the world, we want to help everybody have a good well-being in the education time. So bullying will stay everywhere and every time, and we want uh, teachers, people, parents to be aware of it, to put it on the top of discussion and eliminate it fast as you can, so the kid can grow up in the manner of yeah he deserves, and to be accepted in a high value, and as I say, to become the next exalted community groups, like where he will get respect and he will be happy, and he will be also fighting against this inequality, racial problems, and whatever comes and stops and creates difficulty in academic progression.
Yep, let's wrap it up now. Thank you for watching Teach Academy. See you guys later.
See you guys. See you for next time.